Hello, everybody. It's the Sean Show. Welcome back, episode 25. It's the Sean Show. It's the greatest show. What do we got on the agenda today? Did everybody enjoy the football this week? It was a great week of football, as it always is. I didn't watch a lot of the games because I just could not get up. I was disappointed in myself. I was a bit wrecked. I got to watch a couple of games, just the last two, I think it was. We'll go over that in our weekly review, but let's get to this week's agenda. Actually, got a topic I want to talk about this week. So, quick review. We've got the plug. I want to talk about some show updates that are going down. We've got our NFL 12, Week 12 review. And we also have a little bit of a referee review. There's been a couple of things that I've seen throughout this season that I want to have a chat about, particularly with coaches, particularly not with the hip drop tackle. And then we'll go over the NFL Week 12 bet results and the upcoming changes to our weekly bets. So we may as well just get into it because it looks like it's going to be a long one. Boom. This is the Sean Show. Monday, Tuesday, Friday, and Saturday. If you're in the US, just pull those days forward by one. So Sunday, Monday, Thursday, Friday. That's how it is. That's just time frames. That's just time zones, people. Today is Monday, so today we'll be talking about Sunday night football, just Sunday football in general. We'll go over the scores and all of that. On Tuesdays, we go over Monday Night Football, which will happen tomorrow. I do believe it is the Ravens versus the Los Angeles Chargers. So I'll be watching that game tomorrow, and we'll be talking about it on the show. And then on Friday, when that eventually rocks around, or at least Thursday, we'll be talking about Thursday Night Football. And then on the Saturday, we do our picks and we do our bets. Now, we'll talk about some show changes really quick while we're here. This is just like in the way. It's just in the way. So we'll talk about the show update right here. The second part of the agenda. This is the Sean Show. The way things have been going with the show lately, I am looking to change things up a little bit. The general flow over the week is just a bit boring, a bit monotonous, and it's always, monotonous. It's going to be redundant if I say repetitive. So we're going to be switching it up a little bit. I know I did just say that the show is going to be freaking through the schedule and all of that. But one thing that's going to change is I am going to be trying to get onto Rumble as well as YouTube, so we'll be streaming to more than one platform. The show will be on more than one platform. Let's go. I'll be working on that one for probably the Thursday show. Thursday, my Friday. I'm going to be trying a bit more now, so the time for effort is over. Let's start to build something, people. I'm going to work on a few things. Had some tier lists in mind that I've been wanting to get out there, so look forward to that. There's going to be some more exciting things, and then I should be clipping this stuff and uploading it as their own videos. So some more digestible content for everybody, and just something that's just going to keep me going. It's going to keep me going because right now the way we're doing it, I do enjoy it, but it's without any video. We can't do any video review from the NFL clips. It does get a bit boring because reviewing players is something that I do love to do. And the way I currently have to do it, I have to take screenshots of the shit and then upload them into my streaming software, etc., 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 etc. And it's a fucking laborious task. So video is much better. I will put effort into doing some play breakdowns, or at least some play-by-play breakdowns, maybe. Anyway, let's get into this rest of the show now. Some more updates. We'll probably talk about them later. Fucking, you know how it is. Okay, let's get into this week 12 review. What am I doing? Let's get rid of that. I didn't add the web page, people. I'm just gonna do that right now. Boom! Look at that magic. Look at that media magic. Shit. Okay, so on the last show we went over our picks and our bets. We did kind of only go over meaningful football, or at least games that we suspected would be meaningful football. So let's open up some tabs here. We got Chicago taking Minnesota to overtime. Minnesota getting a field goal to win it there. Detroit slapping Indianapolis. Probably not going to look at that. I actually do want to look at that. Let's just whip all of these up, actually, because some interesting things happened, and I want to talk about them. We're not going to talk about Baltimore, Los Angeles. I don't think this show's going to take a while. Let's just get through what we can get through. Okay, so the box score for this game. I myself am surprised that this one went to overtime. Looks like the Bears are back. NFC North. Let me get these standings up real quick. Boom. NFL standings right here. Let's go straight down to the NFC North. So if I was to look at this, I can't look at this in a certain week, but if I was to look at this at like week 5 or some shit like that, week 6, basically all of the NFC North was going to the playoffs. Chicago Bears were growing strong, and then something happened, and then everybody was talking about a Caleb Williams regression. 2 weeks ago, or a week ago, probably 2 weeks ago, they fired their offensive coordinator. Last week, they go into Green Bay. I think they went into Green Bay. And they lose from a blocked field goal. Last play of the game. This week, they host Minnesota. And they take them to overtime. Bears defense is holding up. But Green Bay and the Vikings both have good defenses. And Chicago's been able to hold and keep pace with the score. Look forward to the Chicago Bears. I'm just going to take a side note and I'm going to have a look at their schedule coming up. They're at Detroit, they're at San Fran, they're at Minnesota, they host Detroit, they host Seattle, and they go to Green Bay. To me, excuse me, that looks like a quite tough schedule, just because the majority of it is divisional. But you've almost beaten 2 of your divisional rivals. San Fran is out Brock Purdy. He might still be out in week 14. Seattle is also going to be a bit of a tough game. But it is very possible that the Bears move up within this division by the end of it. That's a big call, but I made it. Let's have a look here. No interceptions thrown, 2 touchdowns apiece. Both quarterbacks throwing for over 300 yards. Caleb Williams throwing the ball 13 more times. This is a much more balanced offense than the Bears, so this tells me Minnesota was ahead, and the box score tells me that as well. 106 yards rushing for Aaron Jones. Not so much on the team for the Chicago Bears. 160 yards, 114 yards. Let's go. Justin Jefferson picking up a measly 27 from his 5 targets. Nice. This is a big game. This is a big game. If we go back to the standing, Detroit Lions are only 10-1. They beat the Colts today. Let's do a quick segue over to that game. Wherever it is, wherever it may be. Oh, it's right here. It is right here. So the Detroit Lions move to 10-1 after going into Indianapolis and thrashing these guys by 18 points. No touchdowns. 4 Jared Goff. 2 for Jamar Gibbs. 1 for David Montgomery. And then I guess they scored 2 field goals as well. How do these guys get their 6 points? Well, you know, there's no touchdowns available, so they just they had to kick them in. Michael Pittman, 96 yards from 7 targets. That's pretty good. That is pretty good. Anthony Richardson rushing the ball 10 times, getting 61 yards. Jonathan Taylor only getting 35 yards off his 11 rushes. Oof. The Colts, are they still in it? Somehow they are. Somehow they are. If we go to conference, like, somehow they are. Don't ask me. Don't ask me. Where is this game? And let's have a look at their schedule. What's the chance that the Colts go to playoffs? They're at New England. They're at Denver versus Tennessee. They're on the road for the majority of the rest of their season. What's Houston's schedule like? Miami, Kansas City, Tennessee, Baltimore. If these guys right their ship, the Colts could make it. They could take their division somehow in some world. Moving on. Miami Dolphins host New England Patriots to absolutely flatten them. Go to 5-6. Patriots going 3-9. 34-15. 19-point differential. They were ahead the whole game. Let's have a look at the box score here. Drake May, 2-2-2. 1 tud, 1 in. No rushing touchdowns. What do we got? Tua, 4 touchdowns. Who'd they go to? Waddle, Jonnu Smith, and Devontae Kane. Tyreek Hill picking up 0 touchdowns. My Millie bet really did not go well this week. It really did not. Miami Dolphins, 6 losses. That puts them ahead of the Colts. Yes, in contention right here. They are in contention. How is their roster? How is their schedule looking? At Green Bay versus hosting New York. At Houston. Hosting San Fran. At Cleveland. At New York. I don't know what this Cleveland team is yet. Do they just play strong in their division? I don't know. We'll have a look at them because I do. Not sure if they played this week actually. Did they play this week? That's a question. Should know this. They did. They played. They beat Pittsburgh. What am I talking about? We already talked about this game last week. Sheesh. Get your head together, man. But yes. It is possible that the Dolphins can make the playoffs. If they stay steady. If the Broncos falter at any point. Step right up. Step right up. They've got a bit of a tough schedule though. A couple of these games are rough. Brock Purdy should be back by this point. Again, I don't know what Cleveland is. Houston's tough. Green Bay's tough. I'm not going to say anything about New York. Moving on. So we've got Bucks crushing the Giants. 23 points. How'd we go over here? 0 touchdowns. 294 yards. I saw this. Everyone who rushed the ball got a touchdown. Let's go. That's awesome to see. That's awesome to see. Tommy DeVito picking up no touchdowns on the ground or through the air. What can you say? What can you say? I did say there could be a chance that the Giants win this one with the Tommy DeVito fire, but unfortunately it did not happen. They moved to 2-9. They're not going to the playoffs. Essentially eliminated, I would say. No one's ever out of it, but it will take a goddamn miracle for them to make it into the playoffs this season. And again, we come to this discussion, a very easy schedule, objectively, for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I think these guys will go to playoffs. Let's go down to the NFC. They're currently in the 9th seed. Look at this. Look at this. They're one loss away from moving straight up. You know, so Tampa Bay has a good chance at taking. I think the Falcons have their division right now. They do. They could take their division. They could get to the playoffs wild card. Either way, Tampa Bay is still in the hunt. I know this is only week 12. We've got another 6 weeks, and we're already trying to count out and crown division winners and stuff like that. But that's just competition, man. That's just football. Don't hold it against me. This was a massive surprise when I woke up and looked at the score. 4-7. The 4-7 Cowboys beat the Washington Commanders. I don't think anybody was expecting this to happen. I don't know what happened. I 100% for sure thought this was a lock. Based off what Cooper Rush is. No offense, Cooper Rush. You did lead your team to a big divisional victory. You didn't get cut by a team mid-season. Jaden Daniels picking up a touchdown. Jaden Daniels throwing 2 touchdowns. I think I had him maybe throwing 3 touchdowns in the parlay. Oh well. Terry McLaurin, 102 yards, 1 touchdown. Zach Ertz grabbing 1 for himself. 6 of 8 targets. CeeDee Lamb getting the brunt of the targets. Kind of not the big plays there though. Luke Schoonmaker. That's a tight end number. That's a tight end name and a tight end number. Motherfucking tight end right there. Looks like a tight end. 55 yards. Off 3 catches. 1 touchdown. Jalen Tolbert got another one. It's hard to discount any goddamn team right now. I do want to say that the Cowboys are out of it, but they're not. They just aren't. Look at this. They are down here, but they're 2 losses away from being right up there. If they can hold it down, just like everybody else. Washington Commanders, they should make it. They just need to keep steady. Eagles definitely going through. What do the Cowboys' schedule look like? New York, Cincinnati, Carolina, Tampa Bay, Philly, Washington. If they can play upset in their division, they might. No. Alright, you can't get in with 10 losses. Nah. They'd have to win every game here, and I don't see it happening. I don't think the Cowboys are going to the playoffs. Next. Chiefs Panthers. This game meant nothing. But what is interesting is the score here. Kansas City is not... They're playing a different type of football, I guess you could say. They're winning games differently. So... Where are we? Let's have a look at this. Let's have a look at this. Let's have a look at this. Schedule. Alright. Detroit has been winning games. What's actually... You know what I can do? I can just have a look at the tables right here. And I can see the point differentials. So let's go to Lions. 177. Let's get rid of this. We don't need it. And we don't need that. So, Detroit Lions, 177 point differential. They're winning games by great margins. Philadelphia Eagles, plus 97. Minnesota Vikings, plus 77. Buffalo Bills, the other two-loss team, plus 106. Nobody else, except for the Houston Texans, in playoff contention has such a low point differential than the Kansas City Chiefs. Right? The NFC is a different story. Okay? I'm going to say it's slightly more competitive, which is why these numbers aren't as exorbitant as these. But let's have a look at who these guys have played. They played Baltimore. Tough game. They played Cincinnati. This is a bit of a tough game. If I remember correctly... Oh, I'd have to do this. If I remember correctly... Jamar Chase wasn't playing. No, he was playing. T. Higgins wasn't playing. Quiet game for Jamar Chase. Quiet game. So slightly tough game, not really the full strength Cincinnati Bengals. Then you have Atlanta, who are doing quite good at the start of the season. You got Los Angeles Chargers, who were trying to figure out who they were at this point of the season. You had New Orleans, who was on a downward trend. Who was the quarterback here? Derek Carr was still playing in the game. Hold on. Was he playing in the whole game? Is this the one he got injured? It was. So Derek Carr got injured in this game. They do win that one. Have a game against San Francisco without Christian McCaffrey. They versed Las Vegas, who has not been doing amazing. Who was the quarterback there? That was Minch. Then we versed Tampa Bay, and we went to overtime. We versed Denver. We went 16-14. We lost to Buffalo in the fourth quarter. Tight game. And then we beat the Carolina Panthers by 3. So the schedule's been up. The schedule's been down. The schedule's been... You've had some games. You've had some games against teams who weren't really very good for their time, aka Los Angeles, New Orleans, San Francisco. Did these guys have Devontae Adams in this game? He was gone. They didn't have Devontae Adams. Now the thing is, these wins, that's a touchdown. That's 1 point. That's 5 points. So look, let's go. One score. That's one score. That's one score. That's one score. Not one score. Starting quarterback got injured. More than a score. One score. One score. One score. More than one score. One score. Kansas City Chiefs are playing to their opponent's strength. Or I should say, they play to the level of their competition this season. They're not... At no point in this season have they looked like a dominant team. They just look like a team that knows how to win. Is that more important than being able to thrash teams? I don't know. Are they just fucking around until the playoffs? Just trying to make games interesting for themselves? I don't think so. I really don't think so. Are teams just more prepared for them? I don't know. The thing is, you look at the roster that they have, and it's just like, they should be just the point differential should be massive. I mean, you got Hilaire, you got Hunt, you got Perrine, Carson Steele's fucking not bad either, and he's a rook. You got Hardman, Hopkins, Schuster. Fucking, I don't know Justin Watson, but he's probably pretty good. Xavier Worthy. Like what the hell? Noah Gray, Travis Kelce. Like, man. There's so many names that you just know as producers of football plays. And they're playing to the level of their opponent. Like, it's, I don't know what's happening over in Kansas City. They're able to win games. More power to them. But yeah, like, you know, I'm a little baffled, as you can probably hear. I'm just a little confused by the whole situation right now. I've said it for the majority of the season. They play to the level of their opponents, but I just don't understand why it is. And I'm not so interested in the Chiefs that I'm going to watch their games, because personally, I don't find their games that entertaining, I guess you could say. You just know that they're probably going to win the game, so the score doesn't matter. That's all I got to say. Like, oh, down 10 in the fourth quarter. Oh, who gives a shit? They're probably going to fucking win the game. Just watch it. It's inevitable to happen. Is that exciting? Not really. Not really. So, when I tell people that I don't find Kansas City an exciting team to watch, particularly when they're winning Super Bowls, even if they come from behind to win the game, is that their roster is strong. Their roster is so fucking strong. Mahomes is so fucking good, right? It's not the same as watching the Bill Belichick, Tom Brady Patriots win a Super Bowl. Because they got to the Super Bowl, and you know some dude whose name you never heard before was probably scoring 2 touchdowns. Like, it was just like, you were just looking at the roster and you were like, how the fuck are these guys going to win this game? And they just do. And that's what made it exciting. You felt like like, obviously New England was probably the better team in most of their matchups, but you just felt like roster-wise they were a weaker team most of the time, which is what made it so good to watch. But yeah, this Kansas City Chiefs team, like, it's, yeah, you know, it'd be fun to watch, watching them score like 50 points in a million different ways. That would be fun to watch. Anyway, that's a personal gripe of mine. Let's keep this rolling. Don't know how long this one's been going for. It's only half an hour. Nice. Let's keep going. Let's keep it going. Let's keep the train going. So we got Tennessee Titans beating out their divisional rival, the Houston Texans. I'm a bit surprised at this one. I'm also kind of not surprised just because it's divisional. But when you say the 2-8 Titans are going into Houston to verse the 7-4 Houston Texans, you automatically think Texans got this. Somehow they don't got this. Looks like it was like back and forth the whole game. Win probability is up and down, off the sheets. Will Levis throwing one into... Oh, okay, alright. Bit of a sophomore slump that we're seeing with CJ Stroud and the coach over there. It's unfortunate. They're not out of the race. They're obviously winning their division right now, but this one does hurt a little bit. 278 yards, 2 touchdowns, 1 interception, 10 yards. Tony Pollard getting 100 yards. Is this the first time he's hit 100 yards this season? Game log, please. Second time. Let's go, Pollard. Good to see that shit happening. 24 carries. Average of 5 and the tutty. They're pretty good. Who got their touchdowns? Westbrook Keane and Okonkwo. Nice. Nico Collins picking up the tutty there. And also Cade Stover. Jeremy Mixon only getting 22 yards. I was, you can look at the defensive team stats. Tennessee is one of the strongest defenses in the league. I think they've taken the least amount of yards or something. I haven't looked at it recently. But, they're a good defense. It is divisional. This doesn't really help the Titans that much. They're definitely out of the race. Still can't say that. They're not out of the race until they're actually eliminated. If they win out, anything can happen. Likely not going to win out. Houston Texans. This hurts them though. The Colts are nipping at their heels. 6 losses. They just lost to Tampa, but they're fucking hanging in there. They are hanging in there. Houston Texans, that all it does is hurt them. They'll still probably go to the playoffs. Not going to look at their schedule. Next up, we have the Denver Broncos winning the divisional game by 10 points. Bo Nix getting 2 touchdowns. I don't think he carried or received one this week. No, he did not. They did not rush a touchdown at all this week. Courtland Sutton getting the 2 grabs right there. How did Brock Bowers go? Oh, 4 for 10. Oh, rough outing. 38 yards. They brought Ritter in. I wonder what happened here. Play by play. Where is Ritter? Fumble. Minch sacked. Minch was injured during the play. Oh, man. What happened to Minch? Head coach Antonio Pierce told reporters after Sunday's 29-19 loss to the Broncos that Minshew's left shoulder injury doesn't look good, and the quarterback will need further testing. That sucks, man. That sucks for the Raiders. They're kind of not even. They're not even in the conversation. Next up, we have the Packers and the Niners. This is a game that I got to watch a bit of. Joshua Jacobs is an absolute fucking animal. 106 yards off 26 carries and 3 touchdowns. Romeo Dobbs topping the Green Bay wide receivers with 38 yards right there. Oh, no, wait. Yeah, 54 yards. My bad. He did have a drop that almost turned into a interception. Tucker Kraft, 2 for 2 and the touchdown. Malik Heath, 2 for 2 and the touchdown. George Kittle, 6 for 6 and the touchdown. If you want to catch a touchdown, catch all of the balls that are thrown at you. That'll give you the best chance. Sack-wise, only 2 and 7 yards lost off 2 sacks. 163 yards for Jordan Love. Not the greatest outing. A lot of dropped balls. And Brandon Allen also doing just as bad. Yeah, that interception really hurts the rating. If he didn't have an interception, it could be like a rating of 90-ish. I'm just throwing shit out there. I don't actually know. This one sucks for the Niners with it's really good for the Packers, but it sucks for the Niners just with Brock Purdy out and their division being like so gettable. Again, we'll go to this division. We look at it so many times. Nice to see what it looks like now. Still so freaking tight, man. So tight. This is anybody's game. Wow, they got a 0-point differential. That's insane. That's actually insane. Yeah. These guys still in it. Packers still in it. NFC North right now. Look at that shit. Let's go. The North is strong. The North is very strong. They are in the top 4 teams in the NFC. Alright. Enough hubris right there. Okay, so anyway, big game for the Packers. Let's go to the Niners. Let's go to the Packers. Let's check out their schedules. I would like to see that. Schedule. So we have Niners at Buffalo, rough game. Then they host Chicago, rough game, I'm going to say. Los Angeles, that's going to be a rough game. At Miami, they don't have a very good schedule. I don't think they go to the playoffs. Fuck. That's hectic. I'm not going to look at the rest of their division schedule. Really should. But I won't. Either way, in the NFC, having that many losses right now is not a good thing. If you're in the AFC, hey, it's fine. Hey, you're all gravy. If you're in the NFC, though, and if you aren't a division winner, then it is not all gravy. It is not all gravy. All right, Packers schedule. How are they looking? Should win this game. It's going to be a tough game. That's going to be a tough game. It's going to be a tough game. Should win. Should win this game. Going to be a tough game. Going to be a tough game. These two games, Detroit and Minnesota, they're the most important games right now. The Chicago one could prove to be very, very important based off how the rest of the division goes. Because let's say, just throwing this out there, Minnesota ends the season with 5 losses. Green Bay ends the season with 5 losses. But 5 losses is the cutoff point for the playoffs at that point. Let's say that. If the Packers lose to the Bears, this could keep them out of playoff contention. If they don't have as good of a divisional record as Minnesota at that point, that could push them down into 8th seed. This game could be extremely critical. Looking ahead, that's all. I just want to say that this game's critical because they've lost to them. This game's critical because they've lost to them. They need to win out both. They need to win out the division. They can't go 3-3 in the division. They have to go 4-2 in the division. It's just gonna happen. These guys, I think they're 2-0 in the division. I'm not sure if they've versed Minnesota yet. Let me have a look. They should have. They should have by now, yeah. Tight game. So there's a, yeah. And then Minnesota beat Green Bay, like I said. These were both games that Green Bay could have won. I am a Green Bay fan, which is why I'm talking so much about the Green Bay right now. But yes, Green Bay could have won both of these games, but they shot themselves in the foot with penalties. That is one thing I did want to look at as well for this week. How did they go on penalties? Team stats plus. All right. Yards. Don't care about yards so much. I'm looking for penalties. 40 yards. Right on the cusp of what I call acceptable. It's starting to look cleaner over here. If it stays 40 and below, they've got a very good chance against the Lions and Minnesota. And obviously the rest of their schedule. This starts to creep up above 40. It's a slippery slope, man. It's a slippery slope. How to kill yourself slowly. A playbook. Next up, we've got the Seattle Seahawks beating out Arizona Cardinals at home. I did say that the 12th man was a massive factor, as it always is in Seattle. This is that division we just talked for ages about. And then obviously the Rams are in that division as well. So this just flipped it a little bit. This just balanced things out a little bit more. I don't know what to say about this division. This one is absolutely up in the air. Anybody can take it. I'm not going to try and predict who takes it. Anybody could take it. Next up, we've got the Philadelphia Eagles versus the Los Angeles Rams. This is another game that this is the other game that I did get to watch. Saquon Barkley. So, if we go to team stats here, Eagles had 481 total yards of offense. Saquon Barkley accounted for 300 of those. A.J. Brown accounted for 100 of those. 81 yards was split across the rest of the team. That is fucking crazy to me. Should be crazy to you as well. This was a fairly kind of close game until the second half, and Eagles started to kind of run away with it, honestly. Saquon Barkley just broke. Oh, man. Saquon Barkley with that offensive line. Oh. Philadelphia Eagles is one of those teams that when you watch them, you're like, possible Super Bowl champions. You watch the Lions, you think the same thing. You watch Kansas City, you're like, yeah, they'll probably get there. You watch Baltimore, you're like, yes. You watch the Steelers, you're like, if the offense can fire a bit more, then yes, definitely yes. These Eagles are fucking good, man. They're fucking good. Jalen Hurts, also fucking good, man. It's just I'm just kind of in awe of how good this team is. Los Angeles did their best to try and get back. Stafford's a fucking baller. He was just under duress so much. I thought he got sacked more than 5 times, if I'm being honest. Watching that game, holy hell. He was just under so much pressure. He couldn't hold the ball longer than, like, I want to say 2.5 seconds. It was a rough time getting the ball out. I feel like they had to change up their game plan, like, pretty late in the game, to realize that it just wasn't, like, their routes were maybe too deep. Their plays were just the plays they were calling were maybe just taking too long to develop. Not enough time. I know, an adjustment should have been made earlier. Yeah, and then I do believe their kicker was missing. He missed a field goal, so I don't think they wanted to give him any more chances. He's yeah. Either way, it was a pretty good game to watch. If you're an Eagles fan, if you're a running back player fan, man, like, just look down here. This was at the end of the game. This was fourth quarter. Just sealing that shit. Defenders getting tired. Like, Saquon did look tired after this drive. Like, he was just blasting on this play. But after this drive, he was visually gassed. But still, man, 200. I think he churned out another, like, 50 yards or whatever after that. Like, animal. You see that? That wasn't even him. That was Gainwell. That was a strong run too. Yeah, this team's good. One thing that I did want to talk about within this section, let's bring up the schedule. Oh shit, wrong thing. Let's bring up the agenda. This referee review. What's going on with the refs, man? Like, particularly with coaches, and particularly with the hip drop. Let's get rid of this real quick. We don't need this anymore. And then let's get our title screen back up. Okay, so, and then I want this there. The refereeing. I've seen a couple of things this season, particularly with coaches. One of the big topics of conversation in the off season was this whole hip drop tackle bullshit. You can't do a hip drop tackle. Essentially, you can't grab somebody from behind and, inverted commas, unweight yourself, or basically just let your feet leave the ground. You've got to, pull them down. You can't just drop on them. This type of tackle is a dangerous tackle because people's ankles and Achilles and their calves get rolled up on. It's a dangerous play. If you've got your foot on the ground, as you normally would, and you get hip drop tackle, and your knee goes down, and your foot with the studs in the ground is not able to make itself free and go into a elongated position so that the top of your foot's on the ground, there's a good chance that you're going to tear something in your calf or your Achilles. It's a very, very dangerous tackle. It's not something that should be done. I don't know how defenders are meant to tackle while they're chasing somebody from behind. I don't know, maybe you have to be able to grab the shoulder pads and pull down from the shoulder pads, but if you're diving, you're unweighted automatically, so it's a fine line. Now, players have not been called for this tackle in a game once, I don't think, but I do believe I have heard, allegedly, that some players have been fined following the incident. So, no calls for something that was made quite aware of to the teams in the media in the off season. I'm sure. Like, they even had a big NFL meeting with all the coaches, where the coaches were like, "Yo, can you explain to us what this hip drop tackle fucking is?" And then there's that whole segment where Harbaugh was demonstrating it on Pat McAfee. So, like, yeah, it's something that they really pushed for and something that they haven't called. And I've seen Josh Allen early in the season just like putting his hands up to a ref like, are you going to call this hip drop? Like, what the hell just happened? Like, what's going on? So that's something that they have not been calling. And then there's been a couple of coaching incidents that I've seen. 2 of them, in fact. PI calls today were a bit rough. There was a PI called on, I think, Puka Nacua right at the end zone, which was not a PI, and that actually led to a touchdown for LA, even though they were behind. I understand, but still, please call things consistently. He was definitely not PI'd on the play. And even after they reviewed it, I think they had to review it to call it PI. And then once they've called it, they need enough evidence to overturn it. But there was basically no evidence, so I guess they didn't overturn it. It's fucking stupid. Either way, it led to a touchdown. Could be game altering. Wasn't in this instance, but still, we need to clean it up, especially if we're like reviewing this shit. So there's been 2 things that I've seen, and then I read about one extra one in regards to the refereeing and the coaches. So earlier in the season, I think it was Baltimore versus Kansas City. Early in the season, defensive coordinator Steve Spagnuolo actually he called a timeout. Now, I don't know how long the rule's been in effect, but I think only the quarterback and the head coach, or only the head coach, can call a timeout. Steve Spagnuolo is not a head coach. He's the defensive coordinator for the Kansas City Chiefs. Yet he called a timeout. They let it happen. Weird. I don't know what that's about, honestly. Like, what do you do? Like, if the ref freaks out and like calls time, and then the main official's like, all right, cool, like, we've got timeout, and then you're like, the defensive coordinator called it, like, what do you do? Do you call them on delay a game? You can't, because you delayed the game as a referee by blowing it as a timeout. Like, what do you do? You'd give them like a 5-yard, like something like that. Like, I think that's delay a game anyway. I don't know what you do. The official really just needed to look at him and be like, no timeout, bro. You're not Andy Reid. Or he should have just said head coach. Something like that. They let that slip. It did kind of look like Baltimore needed to take a timeout anyway. But still, like, we need to be consistent with these rules. The other thing was today, this guy, head coach of the Eagles, Nick Sirianni. So, a little instance happened late in the game where there was a minute and about 30 seconds remaining, I think, in the third. It was the third quarter. It wasn't in the final quarter yet. And a penalty was called, and Nick Sirianni, he like declined the penalty, right? So that put the Rams at like a 4-2 or a 4-3 or something like that. Now, obviously being behind in the game, Sean McVay wanted to go for it. So offense is out there, lined up, and then all of a sudden, like, the refs blow the play dead, and they say that Sirianni actually wanted to accept the penalty. And it's like, what the fuck? Like, you can't make a call and then watch how the opponent's going to line up and be like, oh, no. Actually, I changed my mind. What the fuck? Like, you can't do that. I think he was expecting them to take a field goal or something. But, like, so it went from a 4-2 or a 4-3 to it's a 10-yard penalty. So rather than going as an offensive penalty, you replay the down and you take the yardage. So it went from a 4-3. I'm just reading this now, 4-3. It went from 4-3 to a 3rd-and-13. And then I think they stopped them anyway. But yeah, you can't, like, that's just, you don't call something, get to have a look at what the other team's going to do, and then change your mind. You can't do that. I don't know why that was allowed. It really shouldn't have been allowed. Like, there's no integrity of the game if that's going to happen. Like, just absolutely not. I did read that this happened, I think, maybe earlier in the season with Mike Tomlin. Maybe in last week, actually. But he said that he thought a different penalty was called. So I'm not sure which way it was, if he declined it or accepted it, maybe a decline. And then he was like, what's going on? Like, what is this? Like, and then they would have said, it's, you've accepted this penalty. He's like, I declined this penalty. He's like, oh no, I want to accept it. I thought it was something else, which is kind of fair, but at the same time not fair. Still go and clarify with the referees what the call is. Say, hey, was it a blah 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 call, etc. Was it a holding call? Was it a freaking false start? What are we doing here? And then make your judgment based off that. And then but to see the other team line up and go for it on 4th and then say, hold on, I changed my mind. That's bullshit. That's some fucking bullshit. That shouldn't happen. I'm assuming we're going to hear a little bit about this because it was just like, it was blatant. Like, they were lined up ready to start the snap, and then the play's called dead. And then all of a sudden it's 3rd-and-13. Like, it's not right. Even the commentator said, like, if this was schoolyard football, or you're playing in the backyard and somebody makes a call and then they see the look and they want to change it, you're like, no, you gotta live with that decision. So whether you either heard the call wrong like Tomlin, or whether you just changed your fucking mind, it shouldn't be allowed once you have seen what personnel is going to be on the field for the opponent. It should not be allowed. You should maybe get until they announce it, something like that. But maybe just don't open your mouth until you've got a decision. How's that? I think we're going to hear a bit more discussion about this, honestly, in the future. Keep an eye out for it. I'm going to keep an eye out for any more calls regarding coaches and stuff like that. Keep an eye out for any hip drop tackle calls, because I don't think we're going to see any. Next on the agenda, that was fun. That was cool to talk about. I'm clicking all the wrong things. That's one thing in the show that's going to change. It's going to become a bit more produced, I guess you could say. Let's go to the NFL Week 12 bets and the changes to the bets. I was looking at that and like, what the hell is that? I did only update all of this stuff like 5 minutes before the show. So let's get to the bets. NFL Week 12 bet results. We did only have 2 bets up. We did not do the extra betting like we did last week. I did say I was going to do it, but I ended up not doing it. And it's a good thing I didn't, because the ones that I put on were bad. So we have not been doing amazing with our bets. We regularly do 2 parlays, a 9-leg parlay and a $1 million props bet, and then sometimes an extra bet. This is going to change. You'll see once we see the results. So, okay, with the Week 9 parlay, we had the Minnesota money line to beat Chicago. That one came through in overtime. Tampa Bay versus New York Giants did not hit the 41 over. Could not tell you off the top of my head what it hit, so I'm going to look that up. It hit 37, so we were fairly close. New York needed to score like 4 points. 5 points for it to come through. Next, we have New England at Miami. I think it was at Miami. It should have been. We've got the Miami money line. That one came through. Detroit and Indianapolis did not go over 50.5 points. That one only went to 30 points. Surprised Detroit did not put more on there. Dallas versus Washington. We had Washington as a 10.5 point favorites, and that did not come out. Dallas won that game. I did say I was not going to fuck around with handicaps on divisional games, and that's why. That's exactly fucking why. So we're going to stop doing that. Next, we've got, unless it's like 3. If it's 3, we might fuck with it. In terms of the dog. Like +3 in a divisional is not bad to take. -10 is not good to take. Moving on. Kansas City going into Carolina, getting the win. It was only by 3 points, but they still got the win. Denver, money line against Las Vegas. Again, a divisional. We didn't fuck with it. We just took the money line and it came through. Next, Arizona at Seattle, 47.5 points. I honestly thought, I know it's a divisional game. I broke my own books by saying it was going to be a high-scoring game, but Minnesota, Chicago hit 57 points, okay? Just trying to defend myself here. Now, these guys, they only hit 22 points. So, yeah, nowhere near the over. 2 teams that can score, so I'm pretty surprised about that one. But also not surprised because it's divisional. Philadelphia versus the Rams. Philadelphia money line. It came through at the end of the day. So, as you can see here, we didn't do great. What we're going to be doing is I've had success on the Major League Baseball with 5-leg parlays. So, I think we're going to do a weekly 5-leg parlay instead of a 9-leg. We'll do our regular picks, and then we'll do our 5-leg parlay. We'll get some success on the channel, and then we'll start moving on from there. And then the other bet that we did have this week was the Millie bet. If you don't know, we're trying to become a millionaire on the channel. This is like a 100,000 to 1 bet in which you put $10 on and you can get yourself $1 million. But guess what? It was real bad this week. Caleb Williams did not throw an interception. That's the second week in a row that I've taken Caleb Williams to throw an interception under this new OC, and he has not done it. This is what's making me think, aside from the tight scores, that the Bears can be back. Now, these aren't like
7 to 10 scores. These are in the 20s. So Chicago can score. And they back. Tommy DeVito throwing 2+ passing touchdowns. I thought the hometown hero was going to step up and make a balling ball. But, Tampa's got a pretty good defense. I was shooting a bit high here. Baker Mayfield to throw 3 touchdowns. He did not throw 3 touchdowns. 4 people who rushed the ball. All the 4 people who rushed the ball rushed for a touchdown. So he was not going to throw 3 touchdowns in that game, unfortunately. Tyreek Hill did not get a touchdown. I think everybody around him got a touchdown, but not him. Ramondre Stevenson did not get a touchdown against the Miami Dolphins. Yeah. He had a pretty quiet game. 8 carries, 13 yards. Hard to get a touchdown if you're the main guy and you're only picking up that yardage. Next up, we have Jared Goff passing for 3 touchdowns. That didn't happen. Oh no. He threw for 0 touchdowns, and they ran for 3 touchdowns. Next, we got Brian Robinson. I had 2 touchdowns here. Washington threw for 2 touchdowns, and then Jaden Daniels picked up the rushing tud himself. Brian Robinson also having quite a quiet game. 5 carries, 13 yards against a very leaky Dallas Rush defense. They did end up picking up 145 overall, mainly thanks to Jaden Daniels, who carried the ball 7 times for 74 yards. Now, they were behind in the game for the majority of it, which is why Jaden Daniels threw 38 times and they rushed 25 times. But that's going to happen. That's divisional football. Next up, we got Bo Nix. 2 passing touchdowns. He fucking did it. Let's go. Next up, we have Geno Smith. 3 passing touchdowns. Kyler Murray, 3 passing touchdowns. That obviously did not happen. As you can see, the big old red right there. How close? Well, neither of them were close. 0 touchdowns on Kyler Murray. 1 touchdown for Geno Smith. 6-16 affair. 6 touchdowns cannot fit in within 22 points. So, not a good bet there. Again, I did think this one was going to be a bit of a blast-off shooter. And then Saquon Barkley grabbing 1 touchdown. Now, honestly, if I had Saquon Barkley down for 3 touchdowns, 250 rush yards, and 300 total yardage, shit. The prop bet on that would be insane. But we don't know the future, so yeah. We might need to bring this bet down a little bit in terms of legs. I think if we have less legs at higher odds, smarter choices, we could possibly get close. Maybe I need to make it like a $20 equals a milli. I'll have to mess with it a little bit. This one's just a bit. This one needs tweaking. This one definitely does need tweaking. If I was to look at the history of these, just on the side here. Oh, why are you looking like that? View. Medium icons, please. Fuck it, large icons. Sorry, I'm doing something on the side here that you can't see. Alright. Our milli bet, the first time we did it was fairly good. Our milli bet the second time we did it was only 4 out. And then from there, another 4 out. 1 correct. And then, yeah, it's been kind of shoddy. We've gotten fairly close a couple of times. But it's kind of not working out. What we might do is we might keep the gimmick. We'll just keep the fucking gimmick as it is. We'll just research a bit more. I haven't had the most amount of time to research recently, or I haven't given myself enough time, and that is not great for betting. So moving forward, weekly parlay, we'll move down to a 5-leg parlay. I can make a larger one. I'll make a straight money line one as well. Usually those are smaller because we're taking favorites. Or else I can do a 5-leg parlay and I can do an upsetty betty. I'll do that. I'll do a 5-leg weekly parlay. I'll do an upsetty betty. And I will do I will still do our $1 million prop bet. So, what is an upsetty betty? An upsetty betty is a team that upsets, a dog. A dog wins the fight. Favorite losers. Upsetty betty is somebody throwing interceptions. Shit like that. So I look forward to that. Again, we are currently only on YouTube, but we will be looking in the future to be on Rumble and YouTube, and then we'll be trying to just expand this platform. I might even, keep an eye out on the channel. We're going to try to do some big things here. Don't hold me to that, though. Anyway, this was The Shaun Show. I'll catch you guys tomorrow for the wrap-up of the Week 12, in which we'll talk about Baltimore versus the LA Chargers. And I'll be watching that game as well, so we'll have some good review. Hopefully the refs keep their shit tight. Hopefully it's a great game. And yeah, I'll catch you after it. I'll try to bring the show forward to its regular time, which is supposed to be right after the game. But yeah, it was a long one today. I do understand that. Thanks for tuning in. Appreciate you. Appreciate you, and you should appreciate the people around you. Let's leave it on a positive note. Catch you guys tomorrow. Peace out.